Cultivate discernment. What is discernment? Discernment is essentially the combination between wisdom and judgment, being able to distinguish what is obscure using insight and intuition to find a path forward. There are many different definitions of the word discernment, but they're all very subtly different. So I decided just to use a definition that's from my own words. One of them being the Bible, and discernment comes up in the Bible quite a bit. And I think with good reason, because discernment is a very unique and rare quality to just possess naturally. That's something you need to work at. It's something you need to cultivate. And that is the point of this video, to hopefully just to make people aware of it so that they could cultivate it, so that they can reflect, so they can be aware of it and meditate on it. Though I am young, I feel like I have a very acute sense of social understanding while being very introverted and very antisocial at times. One of the many contradictions of my personality. I was a warehouse worker for a very big company. And at my time there, I got to meet a wide variety of people. And especially my last year of employment, I was a trainer. And I would often spend an entire day with either small groups or often one-on-one. And I would spend an entire day with them. After I taught them the basics, it was more like I was just guiding them and letting them do it. And throughout this experience, they would often share their whole life story, or they would often tell me very personal things. And I don't know if it was just my personality, I would make them feel comfortable, or the setting of the warehouse, I don't know, but this happened quite a bit. And throughout these experiences with these people, I learned a lot, and I felt like it sped up my maturing process. And to put it simply, the common denominator amongst these people is lack of self-awareness and lacking discernment. I'm no better, of course, but it's just one of those things where I just feel like it's easy for me to identify this amongst people. And I would often just tell them, and it just seems like it's hard for people to keep these certain things in mind, or to have a more wider view of the world, or of themselves even. And it seems to me like people sometimes forget that other people go through life differently. Everyone perceives things differently. And it just creates arguments, it creates terrible situations. I feel like often people put themselves in bad situations with people or just in life. And it's not necessarily your fault. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it very much is like you put yourself there. But sometimes it is very much like, okay, this situation happened. How do you move forward? And people, it seems, don't really make the best decisions. When it's more social issues, people tend to hold on to a lot of pride. They cannot see another person's perspective or just really pause and ask themselves the uncomfortable questions like, wait, why are we here? Is this my fault? What could I have done differently? Do they mean me harm? Are they trying to screw me over? Are they trying to hurt me? Or, there's just a lot of questions that I think people don't consider. They take things at face value. They take things superficially and they just react. There's not really any pause for discernment. There's not really any pause to analyze, to think of a way forward, to communicate, to consider different things, to evaluate the situation. That's one of the many complicated things with social interactions. Sometimes you really can't tell what to do, and that's where the definition comes in. Things that are obscure. It's hard to tell sometimes how to move forward, but you have to use your insight, your intuition, the things available to you. You have to look inward and just really try to gauge and make the best decision with the things you have at your disposal. Sometimes people are criticizing others and they're saying this person just wants the whole world to revolve around them, and that a lot of criticism. It goes both ways, and I think they also don't want to change, and that's where pride comes in. I feel like sometimes they are so fixed in their ways that they don't want to see another perspective. They don't want to consider that it's not so black and white. Perhaps you both are at fault here, or perhaps there's just a communication error and you need to talk it out. And again, discernment, being able to pause, being able to identify that, being able to understand what's the best path forward. And sometimes it's an uncomfortable one, like we need to communicate something. I need to come clean about something, or I need to help you come to a conclusion, to open up about something. It's all very complicated, very complex, but I mean, that's life, gotta deal with it. And often people don't, and that's how relationships end. That's how friendships just in general become awkward. I feel like a lot of these issues can be avoided, and it's just insane to me how people They just lack that self-awareness, they lack that discernment. There's also another end of the spectrum where sometimes someone is very meek, someone doesn't have a backbone, someone has a low opinion of themselves, and they just let themselves get walked all over, or they apologize when they shouldn't. And that's where also where discernment comes in, because it's like sometimes it's like, hey, this is not your fault, or this isn't only your fault, and that other person needs to be held accountable, and they don't really consider the situation, and they need that other person to point all these things out. And sometimes you don't have that person, sometimes you don't have a really good friend, sometimes you don't have a trusting, wise person, so you need to be able to do that. You need to be able to discern, you need to be able to identify, am I really at fault? Is this really my responsibility? And yeah, it's just a lot of things, and discernment just works in all of those things, and people need to cultivate it. Now, how to cultivate discernment? I think it's quite simple, but it requires a lot of patience, and it requires a lot of earnest effort and reflection. It really just comes down to thinking and meditating. You need to really analyze and think about a situation, as I've already kind of said. And obviously, for some people, if you don't have this ability, if you really struggle with this, then you can't do it in real time, you know? Most people, I think, they get overwhelmed in an argument and they get tongue-tied, or they get overwhelmed with rage or just other types of emotions. But basically, you can't do it in real time, and that's okay. You know, you need to start from somewhere, and most people are going to start from that place. So what you need to do is you need to do it after the fact. Really meditate, reflect, write about it, you know? Really scrutinize the situation, scrutinize yourself, scrutinize your thoughts, ask yourself the questions. Why is this happening? You know? What could I have done differently? Why is this person acting that way? You will learn something. I'm certain of it. You will learn. If you're truly, earnestly doing this, you will get another perspective. You will learn something about yourself. And only through knowledge, only through learning something, can you become more self-aware and more aware to the world around you. And it's as simple as that, I think. Perhaps I'm wrong, but that is my observations. That is my perspective of the world, of people, of myself. I just really think that it's something that we all need to work on. And some people aren't even aware. They truly aren't aware of it. So many times I'll talk to friends, family, coworkers. It sounds mean, and of course, it's easy to judge from the outside. You know, I fully understand and I'm aware of that. But sometimes when you hear these situations, the first thing that comes to mind is like, dude, think about it. Like, why are you here? Why did you let this happen? Why are you thinking that? Like, that person is right. And again, like I said, you don't always have people around you. Some people are truly alone, or some people they can't trust anyone. They don't have that good friend or that good, wise family member to give real harsh counsel. So sometimes you need to do it yourself. You need to be able to identify these things. And I hope people can work at this. And again, I just think it takes earnest effort, patience, and reflection. Those are the three key things I feel to really move forward and to cultivate discernment and to hopefully have a better life for yourself and for those around you. But yeah, perhaps I'm a little bit misguided, but I know there's portions of what I'm saying that is for sure truth. Let me know your guys' experiences, if you've experienced anything like this, your observations, and of course, your thoughts on my thoughts. Thanks for watching.